The Black Business Council saying tonight S&P's decision to downgrade the country's investment grade rating to junk status is a mistake. Joining us now on Newsnight is the General Secretary, George Sebulula. Good evening to you and welcome. In fact, you're very angry, you're very disappointed about this tonight. Your statement says a questionable and bad judgment by the agency. Why is that?
Look, maybe let me start by qualifying, our understanding of the rating agency results that we have seen now. Firstly, it's not a good status that we would like to see the country in this position. We know how much impact it can do to the men in the streets, to our members who are business people, to the economy at large, particularly even the state-owned enterprises that rely on capital raising on the local and foreign capital markets, And secondly, particularly in government at this present moment, I think we're quite concerned that this has happened now. What we are concerned about, which is quite reasonable, is that just after the appointment of the new Minister of Finance, then S&P decided to do downgrading. I think, in fairness, there's a number of initiatives that have been started through the Minister of Finance.
So you think it's a direct correlation between the new Minister of Finance and a decision by the...
It has been stated on the S&P report that, in fact, these executive changes that took place was the major cause, to say, policies won. In fact, just recently now, you have mentioned it yourself, to say they worried about policy changes.
Well, the statement also goes on to say what is of concern to the S&P is not only the changes, but also the uncertainty and the charged political environment that has resulted from those changes. Does the agency not have a point in that respect?
Look, I think from the first thing that agencies have to do, as you're well aware, is you have to engage. You don't just wake up the following day and say the status of the country is as follows. Just recently, by the way, just to mention, through the initiatives of the former minister, Mr. Pravin Gordhan, there was a lot of engagement with the rating agencies. Now, suddenly, the day after the announcement of the new minister, then this decision takes place. Why? What has changed so quickly? Why there was no further engagement with the current minister to say, let's understand what is the status quo?
But many investment experts are saying tonight the writing has been on the wall for a long time, that the inevitability of this downgrade was signalled to the South African government 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago.
It's correct, but remember that from our side, through the CEO's initiative, for example, the government, the presidential advisory group, there has been a number of initiatives that we've put forward to the agencies, and we have mentioned all the other things that have been required to be addressed by the rating agencies, and some of those issues are the issues that are raising into their own S&P report.
Do you not accept the argument that as a result of this midnight cabinet reshuffle, there is now political uncertainty, which is of concern to S&P and Moody's, might I add?
There could have been political ideology difference, but I don't think there's a political uncertainty.
So there's no uncertainty at all?
As far as we're concerned, we don't think there's a political uncertainty. I think we have excellent and good, well-resourced different structures of government in dealing with various issues. Like, for example, we have the Constitutional Court, that is the legal system in this country is robust. We have the financial system in this country is very robust. All those structures, the human rights is doing its own part. So the state-owned enterprises, from the governance point of view, is doing its own part.
All right. The reality, though, is that we're going to have to live with this.
Yes.
And one of the consequences is that money is going to leave the country, that there's an inevitability that interest rates will rise. How then does the country navigate out of this position as far as the BBC is concerned?
Look, since I've mentioned that we are already participating in various initiatives to deal with the concerns that have been raised anyway by all rating agencies, the key issue is, on all those programs that have been raised, we need to accelerate together with government to ensure that we fast-track development in this country. And we must stop talking but doing. And the second thing is we must also propose to government on all the red tapes that exist to make sure that they are unlocked so that business can be able to perform.
The tragedy, of course, is that it could take decades to recover, even if those interventions are put in place.
I don't think it can take decades, because we have already begun to progress in that particular sphere. And I think the feedback we have received from the new Minister of Finance is we are going not to talk, but we are going to begin to do implementation. You have heard from the Minister of the Police says security is going to be number one. We are going to make sure we build the morale of the police and ensure that crime must be reduced.
I want to get the BBC's view on another issue. There have been a raft of calls over the past 48 hours, the latest being COSATU, the ANC veterans you would be aware of, for President Zuma to step down, even from within his own party. Do you support that call?
Look, I won't say, and we always refrained from getting involved in political angle. I think what we are very interested is we would like to see government building a framework and ensuring that whatever the policies that are there must be accelerated and implemented accordingly to make sure that it benefits.
Do you think President Zuma is doing a good job?
Look, I mean, I wouldn't say he is perfect. There could be areas in which he could have done better, but there are areas in which he has performed. And in honesty, I think as a president alone, he's got ministers that are supposed to execute what the president might require. And some of those ministers, you would find that they don't do as expected.
But you're not prepared to come out and either support his departure or otherwise?
We have always refrained from deciding who must lead the country, who must not lead the country, because it's not our position. I think we want to leave that process to the ANC's processes in terms.
Other business leaders, other business organizations are starting to raise
it doesn't matter who lead the government. What is key is whoever is going to lead the government must fulfill what our members want to achieve, which is ensuring that there's a constant growth in terms of the economy of this country.
Do you think President Zuma can survive?
As I say, you're going back to the same situation. We believe that he has made the decision in which the decision we can turn back. And as far as we are concerned, we want to leave this process unfolding, and we want to leave it to the political party concerned.
Thank you very much indeed, George Sebulela from the Black Business Council. This is Newsnight.